You know, we all like to go out sometimes and go hiking into the woods, go camping, just things of that nature. But sometimes the unexpected happens. Either the weather changes on us, we get lost. Well, here's a simple acronym that you can use to help you in this time. The acronym is STOP. Okay, so I didn't just want to tell you stop, as in don't go out and do things. STOP is the acronym. It stands for sit, think, observe, and plan. And we're going to be going over each of these steps and why it's important for you, especially if you are lost in the woods, inclement weather, it's pouring down rain, you need to find shelter or something. This acronym is what's going to help you out. So let's dive right into it. So again, sit, think, observe, and plan. Sit. Why is sitting so important when it comes to being lost in the woods? Number one, the act of sitting down is going to help you from getting into more trouble. It makes you stop for a second. This one act alone, it can also jumpstart your thinking process, starting to figure out a game plan. And that's why sitting down, stopping, literally stopping, just sitting there for a second, thinking about your situation is so important. It helps you suppress the urge to start running or start making harsh decisions that could potentially affect your life. Okay, now thinking. Why are we going to be sitting there thinking? Survival is your challenge, and your challenge is to stay alive. So it's time to start thinking about these things. Your mind is your best survival tool you have. In this situation, you're pretty much at the mercy of your mind. You need to stop and get control of what is going on up here in your noggin, so that way you can start reaching back on the education that you've learned on your training and survival skills. And the most important thing, develop a positive mental attitude about what's going on. This is going to be the determination of how you survive. Let's think about your priorities. The priorities of survival are known as the rule of 3. Number 1, you may be doomed in 3 seconds if you let panic set in. Number 2, you can't live more than 3 minutes without oxygen. Number 3, you can't live more than 3 hours in some extreme temperatures of hot or cold without some sort of shelter. Number 4, one of the most important, you can't live more than 3 days without water. And number 5, you're probably going to need food in 3 weeks. So we jump over to observe. You need to observe your surroundings. Look for points or something that is familiar to you. Look for what problems you have facing you and what resources do you have to solve them. You may need shelter, signals, fire, water, food. These are just some of the items that you may need for your survival. Observe your surroundings and see where you could possibly gain these items. You need to make sure you establish your campsite while you are lost in an area where you can be easily spotted. Observing is also at this point when you need to actually pull out your survival kit that you may have taken with you and take a look at each and every item and see how it's potentially going to help you survive. Okay, and now we're jumping over to planning. Now that you've thought about it, you've sat there and thought about it and observed everything, it's time to start putting your plan into action. It's time to live this adventure of being lost in the woods. Select a survival campsite somewhere near the area that you are lost, but that can be easily be seen. I guess you could say at this point you need to start setting up your signals so that people that may be looking for you can find you easily. Start putting your shelter into place. Get some firewood for your fire. Most importantly, maintain a positive attitude about all of this. By maintaining a positive attitude, you dispel all your fears. It boosts your will to survive, because as long as you have the will to survive, you can do this. Most people are only lost for up to 72 hours if they keep their mind and in check. And so now that you are sitting, just get comfortable. that's pretty much all you can do at this moment. Get comfortable and concentrate on the things and the tasks in front of you to keep you going until you are found. Okay, so now we're going to look at some of the stuff that I carry in my little go bag that you saw in some of the little video clips. This is just something for me to go out for like a couple of hours hiking or something. I'm not necessarily going to be out for like an entire day with this bag. But if I happen to get lost while I'm out there, I have a plan already in motion. Before you go and do any type of like hiking or camping or stuff like that, you need to notify people of your plans. Let them know a departure time and when you plan to arrive back. That's going to help people be alerted to the fact that you may be lost. That's where the 72 hours comes in. If you've planned everything out correctly, you've told people where you're going to be and what time you plan to be back, and when you don't arrive, they can start figuring it out and go looking for you. Hence the sit down, because the more you wander around, the harder you make it for them to find you. All right, so what I've got here is just a little shoulder bag, and this is just your basic bag. I bought this, I think, from Bud K. It's a little canvas bag. You can waterproof them if you want. I spray this one down with Scotch Guard every now and then to keep it from just getting really soiled and sat to where the rain messes it up. So basically, I keep a few items in this whenever I go out into the woods. The first being just your standard full tang camp knife. This one particular one happens to have a little flint rod in the bottom of it. So I really like this knife. This is by Camelus, and clips to your belt, backpack, whatever. It's got a little plastic clip here and works great. I also carry this knife right here. The reason for this knife, I know you're thinking, 2 full tang knives? Well, there's a reason for this knife. If you'll take a look at it, that dude is thick and it's ground to a V point. And the reason I carry this is made specifically for getting your firewood. This knife right here, also by Camelus, the back of it is like severely serrated, so that way you can use it to get yourself, scraping it down to fat wood or whatever it is, to get you your small shavings for kindling. The V cut is made so you can actually baton into woods and split them. This is not a skinning knife. This knife is strictly for your firewood and firewood collecting. And it is heavy duty and heavy built. And I'm just gotta say, this can be a lifesaver. Now let's dive into the bag. So, into the bag, number one, we've got our emergency kit. You need your ouchie boo-boo kit. Everything from tourniquet, band-aids, cold press, a space blanket, all of that is inside of this. And the reason for that is you don't know what could happen. You could fall down, cut your arm open or whatever. You could start bleeding profusely, and you need a way to be able to stop that. So these small kits are awesome. Most of them don't come with a tourniquet, so you're going to have to get your own tourniquet and put it in here. But these little kits right here, anywhere from $5 to $20. You can actually get this one at Walmart. And next up, for just a small hike, keep a rainproof poncho in there. This is one of the ones made by Frog Togs. I like these because it's very large poncho. It covers me, my bag, everything. But in an emergency situation, I can also use this as a shelter using my paracord. So keep some paracord in your bag too. Paracord to poncho, that's an emergency shelter for you. And then, of course, I've got my Write in the Rain notebook so I can take notes about the things that are going on around me while I'm out there. I've got the Write in the Rain pen, which will write when it's wet, and also a compass. Definitely need to have a compass when you go out hiking. Helps you get your bearings, where you're at. Now, if you're one of these people that does not know how to use a compass, I would very highly suggest you either take a class on using a compass or watch some YouTube videos and learn how to do it. Because what you're going to want to do before you begin your hike in an unfamiliar area, take your bearings where you're at, look at your maps, and figure out where you're at right then, and then you can figure out where you're at if you happen to get lost, and it will help you get out of the woods, or at least help you find some place to where you can be more visible so others can find you. And we have our fire starter. This is that Zippo flint rod that I showed you guys in a short a while back, and a little bellows for it. However, you don't necessarily need to have a flint rod. We're not trying to make this as hard as possible. You can get one of these waterproof containers by Zippo that have these matches in it. And these matches burn for about 4 minutes before they're entirely used up, and you can start your fire, and this little kit comes with quite a few of them. So it's not necessarily about making it more difficult like a flint. There's a lot of people who don't know how to start a fire with a flint rod. So this is an option for you. Weatherproof case. It's all waterproof. It's got a little striker in the bottom of it to actually do your matches. I'm not going to try to get that off right now and not making a mess. And these are just some of the basics that I carry with me when I go on a small hike, because if I do happen to get lost, I've got a shelter. Usually got my water bottles with me. I've got a way to make a fire to stay warm, because the weather can turn on you at any moment. You could be cold, you could be drenching wet, and you may need to dry out your clothes. And that fire is also going to help boost your morale. Okay, so that's it for today's video. If you've got any comments, please leave them below. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And just remember, guys, if you're going to go out camping, hiking, or whatever, have a game plan set, and that way whenever you don't return home, somebody will know that they need to start looking for you. And also remember, stop. Sit, think, observe, and plan. And stay safe out in the woods, guys. So that's it for today. Talk to you guys later.